Have you ever gone to bed thinking that once you turned off the lights, your body would finally be able to rest in peace? Maybe you finished dinner, sat down in front of the television, scrolled on your phone for a little while, and then made your way to bed believing the hardest part of the day was over. That is what most people assume. They imagine that nighttime is always healing time. They think the body simply powers down, settles, and restores itself while they sleep. But what if I told you that for many adults over 60, one common nighttime habit quietly does the exact opposite? What if I told you that something many people do almost every evening is creating hidden strain on the heart while they sleep? And what if I told you that the real danger is not that this habit feels dramatic or scary, but that it feels so normal that almost nobody questions it? Hello, I'm Dr. Adrian Keller, and in today's video, we're talking about a night habit that can quietly damage your heart after 60. This is one of the most important conversations we can have, because heart strain does not always begin with a dramatic emergency. It often begins with patterns, repeated pressure. Night after night, the body absorbs stress that nobody sees because it happens in the dark, while the person is asleep and assumes everything is fine. The habit I want to talk about today is this: going to bed too soon after eating a heavy late meal. Now I know that may sound simpler than you expected. Some people hear that and think, surely that cannot be the big issue. Surely something as ordinary as late eating cannot really affect the heart that much. But once you understand what happens inside the body, when an older adult eats too heavily and too late, then lies down before the body has had time to stabilize, the problem becomes much more obvious. This is not only about indigestion, it is not only about heartburn, it is not only about poor sleep, it is about blood pressure, it is about blood sugar, it is about breathing, it is about inflammation, it is about nighttime stress on a heart that was supposed to be recovering. So today, I want to explain exactly why this habit becomes more dangerous after 60, what happens to the heart and blood vessels when a heavy meal meets a sleeping body, why so many older adults keep doing this without realizing the cost, what warning signs the body often gives, and what a smarter evening routine looks like if you want to protect your heart while you sleep. Let us begin with the most basic question. Why does a late, heavy meal affect the heart at all? To understand that, we need to stop thinking of the body as separate rooms that do not influence one another. The stomach is not isolated. The heart is not isolated. The lungs are not isolated. The blood vessels are not isolated. Everything affects everything else. When you eat a large meal, your body has work to do. The stomach expands. Digestive juices increase. Blood is redirected toward the digestive system. Glucose enters the bloodstream. Insulin responds. Hormones shift. Salt may affect fluid retention. Fat may slow digestion. The whole body changes in response to that meal. Now, if that happens at midday when you are upright, moving, breathing more fully, and generally active, the body has a better chance of handling the burden smoothly. But when that same large meal happens late at night, especially close to bedtime, the body is entering the worst possible context for that kind of metabolic load. Why? Because the body is trying to move into rest mode. Blood pressure is supposed to settle. The nervous system is supposed to calm. Breathing is supposed to become slow and regular. The heart is supposed to get some relief. The body is supposed to shift from daytime effort into nighttime repair. A heavy late meal interrupts all of that. Think of the body at night like a factory entering cleaning and maintenance mode. Machines are supposed to cool down. The workers are supposed to inspect, reset, and prepare for the next day. But if a giant shipment suddenly arrives at the loading dock right before closing time, the whole system has to stay active. Lights stay on. Workers stay busy. Heat stays high. Stress continues. That is exactly what a heavy meal close to bedtime can do to an aging body. Now let us talk about why this gets more important after 60. The first reason is that digestion changes with age. The stomach may empty more slowly. The digestive system often becomes more sensitive. Reflux becomes more common. Bloating becomes easier to trigger. The body does not always process a heavy meal with the same speed and efficiency it had decades earlier. The second reason is that blood sugar becomes more vulnerable. After 60, insulin resistance is more common. Muscles are often less active. Glucose may linger longer in the bloodstream. That means a heavy, starchy, or sugary dinner late at night can keep the body in a metabolically stressed state for much longer than people realize. The third reason is sleep quality. Sleep is often lighter and more fragile after 60. Anything that creates discomfort, blood sugar instability, thirst, reflux, breathing difficulty, or nervous system activation is more likely to disrupt sleep. And when sleep gets disrupted, the heart pays the price too, because poor sleep is not just unpleasant. Poor sleep raises stress hormones. Poor sleep raises nighttime blood pressure. Poor sleep can affect heart rhythm. Poor sleep increases inflammatory burden. Poor sleep changes how the liver releases glucose. Poor sleep leaves the body under-recovered by morning. That means the late meal often harms the heart in two waves. First, through the direct physical burden of digestion and metabolic strain. Then, through the poor sleep and nighttime stress that follow. Now, let us talk about the heart itself. What does the heart want at night? It wants a calmer environment. It wants lower pressure. It wants smoother breathing. It wants better sleep quality. It wants less inflammatory stress. It wants a body that is not overloaded. A heavy late meal creates the opposite. A large meal increases digestive demand. Blood flow is drawn toward the gut. The nervous system may stay more stimulated. Blood sugar may rise and fall more aggressively. The body may retain more fluid if the meal is salty. Breathing may become less comfortable if the stomach is too full. The person may lie flat with a bloated or reflux-prone digestive tract, and the whole system becomes noisier, heavier, and more demanding. This matters because the heart does not only pump blood in isolation, it responds to pressure, volume, hormones, nervous system tone, breathing mechanics, and the metabolic state of the body. If your body is too full, inflamed, dehydrated, sugar-stressed, salt-loaded, or sleeping badly, your heart feels that. Now let us get more specific. One major problem with late heavy meals is reflux. Many adults over 60 already have some degree of reflux tendency, even if they do not always call it that. They may notice heartburn, throat irritation, coughing, chest discomfort, sour taste, burping, or a heavy feeling when lying down. When you eat late and then lie down too soon, gravity no longer helps keep stomach contents where they belong. Acid and partially digested food are more likely to move upward. That may irritate the esophagus and throat. It may disturb breathing. It may cause coughing or micro-awakenings during sleep. And those repeated awakenings matter because the nervous system keeps getting pulled out of rest and into alert mode. A body that is repeatedly disturbed by reflux does not sleep like a calm body. And a heart inside that body does not get the same nighttime relief. Another major problem is blood pressure. Many people do not realize that a large evening meal, especially one high in salt, processed carbohydrates, or rich foods, can contribute to a much less stable nighttime blood pressure pattern. Some older adults already have elevated blood pressure. Others have blood pressure that should dip at night, but does not. This matters because a healthy nighttime pattern usually involves a relative reduction in blood pressure while sleeping. The heart gets some relief. The blood vessels get a calmer environment. But if the body spends the evening digesting a heavy, late meal, handling glucose, retaining fluid, dealing with poor sleep, or waking repeatedly, that healthy nighttime dip may not happen properly. And when that nighttime blood pressure pattern stays disturbed for long enough, the heart and blood vessels live under more strain than they should. Now let us add another layer. Breathing. A large late meal can make breathing more difficult during sleep in several ways. If the stomach is too full, there is upward pressure on the diaphragm. The body may feel tighter or heavier when lying down. Reflux can irritate the airway. Sleep quality worsens. In some people, snoring and sleep apnea symptoms become more noticeable after late meals or alcohol. This is a huge issue because poor breathing during sleep increases cardiovascular stress significantly. When oxygen drops and breathing becomes unstable, the heart has to work harder. Blood pressure surges. Stress hormones rise. The whole body enters a more hostile state. And if that pattern repeats night after night, the damage is not always obvious at first, but it accumulates. This is why some people wake up with dry mouth, morning headache, pounding heart, or exhaustion, and never realize the evening meal played a role. Now let us talk about the specific foods that make this habit even worse. The first is a large, starchy dinner. Pasta, bread, white rice, mashed potatoes, pizza, pastries, or big portions of processed carbohydrates late in the evening can create a strong glucose rise in a body that is already becoming more insulin-resistant with age. That blood sugar stress alone is enough to make the night metabolically rough. The second is salty processed food. Chips, takeout, frozen meals, sausages, packaged soups, salty sandwiches, fast food, or processed meats can lead to more fluid retention and a heavier circulatory burden. The person may wake feeling puffy, thirsty, or under pressure. The heart feels that burden too. The third is fatty, heavy comfort food. Fried food, creamy dishes, heavy sauces, large meat portions, and rich desserts all slow digestion and increase the amount of work the body has to do at exactly the wrong time. The fourth is alcohol with or after the meal. Many older adults think alcohol helps them relax into sleep. What it often does is worsen sleep quality, worsen reflux, worsen breathing, and create more nighttime instability. The fifth is dessert. Not because dessert is morally bad, but because late sugar after a heavy dinner often creates a second metabolic wave the body does not need. Now blood sugar rises further, insulin rises more, sleep becomes less stable, and the heart spends more of the night inside a body that never truly settled. Now let us talk about the emotional side of late-night eating, because it matters a lot. Many people do not eat late because they are physically starving. They eat late because the evening feels like the reward section of the day. The day is over. They are tired. The house is quiet. They want comfort. They want release. They want something that says, "Now I can relax." That may be a big plate of food. That may be eating while watching television. That may be a second dinner disguised as a snack. That may be dessert, alcohol, or just grazing until bedtime. This is why simply telling someone, "Do not eat late," often does not work. Because the late meal is not only food, it is emotional structure, it is ritual, it is habit, it is self-soothing. If you do not understand that, you will keep trying to solve the problem only with discipline. And discipline alone is often not enough at the end of a tiring day. The healthier question is not only, what should I stop eating? It is also, what role is that late meal playing in my life? Is it comfort? Is it boredom? Is it reward? Is it habit? Is it loneliness? Is it the only quiet pleasure of the evening? Because if you understand the role, then you can replace the ritual instead of just fighting it. Now let us talk about the warning signs that this night habit may already be affecting your heart and overall health more than you realize. One warning sign is waking up with a pounding heart. Another is waking up with chest discomfort that is not necessarily pain, but a strange heaviness or pressure. Another is waking with dry mouth and feeling unusually thirsty. Another is reflux or coughing during the night. Another is frequent waking after a big dinner. Another is snoring more after eating late. Another is morning headaches. Another is waking unrefreshed even after enough hours in bed. Another is noticing that your blood pressure seems harder to control or is higher in the morning after late, heavy meals. Another is waking with swollen fingers, puffy eyes, or a bloated feeling. Another is feeling as though you slept, but the body never truly rested. These are not random annoyances. They are clues. The body often whispers before it shouts. Now let us talk about the relationship between this habit and weight gain, because the heart story is connected to the metabolic story. Late heavy eating does not just stress digestion and sleep, it also contributes to a body composition pattern that is harder on the heart. Repeated late eating encourages glucose and insulin instability. Weight tends to collect more easily. Sleep worsens. Energy declines. Movement often decreases the next day. That means the habit is not just harming the heart directly, it may also be helping create the kind of metabolic environment that makes cardiovascular aging worse overall. Now let us imagine two different routines. In the first routine, an older adult eats dinner late, eats heavily, sits immediately afterward, watches television, maybe has something sweet or salty afterward, then goes to bed still full. During the night, digestion stays active, reflux risk rises, blood sugar is less stable, sleep becomes fragmented, breathing may worsen, and the morning begins with fatigue, dryness, pressure, or disappointment. In the second routine, another adult eats dinner earlier, keeps it more balanced, avoids a huge late-night burden, stays upright for a while, maybe walks gently, then lets the evening calm down. No huge second meal. No overly salty late-night takeout. No heavy dessert. No lying down on a full stomach. The night becomes quieter, and so does the work the heart has to do. Which of those two hearts is more likely to age well? That is the real question. Now let us talk about what a smarter evening strategy looks like if you want to protect your heart after 60. First, try to move dinner earlier when possible. Not everyone has the same schedule, and I understand that. But if you can reduce the gap between finishing dinner and going to bed, the body usually benefits. Second, make dinner lighter and more balanced, not tiny, not punishing, but not a giant comfort event either. Enough protein, some fiber, moderate portions, less salt, less heavy processed food, less sugar. Third, stay upright after eating. This is simple and extremely important. Going for a gentle walk, tidying up, moving around the house, or even just sitting upright instead of lying down can help more than many people realize. Fourth, avoid turning the late evening into a second eating session. This is where many adults quietly damage their nights. Dinner is followed by television snacking, then maybe dessert, then maybe something to drink. The feeding window keeps stretching deeper into the night. Closing that window earlier can change the whole internal environment. Fifth, Be careful with alcohol in the evening, especially if the goal is heart protection, better sleep, and better blood pressure. Sixth, pay attention to your body's feedback. If you notice that your worst nights happen after heavy late meals, believe the pattern. Do not dismiss it. Now I want to speak directly to the person who says, "But evening is the only time I really enjoy food." I understand that. I really do. That is why the answer is not to make evening miserable. The answer is to make evening kinder to the body. Comfort is important. Pleasure is important. But there is a difference between comfort that supports the body and comfort that quietly overburdens it. A warm herbal tea may comfort you. A calm routine may comfort you. A smaller meal eaten earlier may comfort you once it becomes normal. A walk may comfort you. Conversation may comfort you. A more peaceful night may end up being the greatest comfort of all. Now let us talk about the idea many people hold that I'm asleep, so it doesn't matter what my body is doing. That is a dangerous assumption. The heart does not stop noticing your choices because you are unconscious. The blood vessels do not stop responding. The liver does not stop reacting. The stomach does not stop working. The nervous system does not stop adjusting. The body continues everything. That is why the evening matters so much. It shapes the night, and the night shapes the morning, and repeated nights shape the years. This is the deeper truth of healthy aging. Damage does not always begin with dramatic emergencies. Often it begins with repeated patterns that keep the body from ever fully recovering. Now I want to give you a practical reflection. If you regularly go to bed within 1 or 2 hours of a heavy meal, ask yourself these questions. Do I wake with dry mouth? Do I sleep deeply or poorly? Do I feel pressure in my chest or throat? Do I wake with heart pounding? Do I have reflux? Do I feel heavy in the morning? Do I snore more after big dinners? Does my morning blood pressure or blood sugar seem worse? Do I actually feel restored by my sleep? Or just unconscious for a few hours? These questions matter because they turn vague discomfort into useful observation. And observation is where protection begins. Now let us talk about the emotional cost of ignoring this habit. When people spend years waking tired, puffy, dry, foggy, or unrested, they often begin blaming age itself. They think, this is just what older life feels like. But many times, what they are calling age is actually a body under repeated nighttime strain. And that is important because if the cause is partly behavioral, then there is room for real improvement. Not perfection, improvement. Better sleep, less reflux, less pressure, less morning heaviness, better blood pressure patterns, a calmer heart, a more rested body. That is not a small thing. Before we finish, I want to ask you something. How long before bed do you usually eat your last real meal? Do you lie down soon after dinner? Do you notice that your worst nights come after heavy food? Do you wake with dryness, reflux, poor sleep, or morning heaviness after certain evenings? Tell me your age and where you are watching from today, and tell me honestly what your dinner timing usually looks like. I read your comments, and they help me understand exactly what this community is living with. And let me leave you with this. The night is supposed to be the body's recovery window. Your heart is supposed to get some relief. Your blood vessels are supposed to settle. Your sleep is supposed to restore you. Do not quietly steal that healing window from yourself by forcing the body to digest a heavy late burden it no longer handles well. Because the night habit that damages your heart is often not dramatic. It is ordinary. It is familiar. It is repeated. And that is exactly why it matters. So if you want to protect your heart after 60, do not only think about medications, morning routines, and daytime walking. Look carefully at your evenings. Look at your dinner timing. Look at the weight of that final meal. Look at how soon you lie down. Sometimes the best way to protect the heart is not adding something new. It is simply stopping the one-night habit that kept the heart working when it should have been resting. I'm Dr. Adrian Keller, and it has been a pleasure spending this time with you today. Protect your evenings, protect your sleep, and remember that the heart often ages best when the body is finally allowed to rest the way it was meant to. I look forward to our next conversation. Until then, take very good care of yourself.